Five Zabs!
Welcome to Five Zabs, episode 2, officially. I'm Evan. This is my dad, Lance. Quick update. We will now be announcing the streaming services of each show we talk about.
All right, well, let's get into the agenda. Today we'll be going over Sasquatch, documentary, Katt Williams WWIII, comedy special, Hustle, Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. Our throwback today is Hoosiers from 1986. Underrated today is going to be documentary picks from each of us, and we also kept that for our all-time Five Zabs today. That'll be based on documentaries as well.
All right, without further ado, Sasquatch. It's on Hulu. Brief description, it's about Bigfoot. It turns into turns into other stories as it goes along. Yeah. It gets it's interesting throughout the whole way, but it's not Sasquatch throughout the whole thing necessarily.
No. So 3 murders took place 1993, in Northern California, like Mendocino or Humboldt County, somewhere up there, in the beginning of the first weed farms ever. Yeah. I mean, and the gist of it is some people say it was made that Sasquatch did it, and others is that it was made to look that way.
Yeah, there was murders
by drug cartels to scare people, for a number of reasons.
Oh yeah.
And so pretty much the whole documentary is about, did Sasquatch do it or?
Well, it really started off how this documentary was made was the guy that made it. He had witnessed an incident.
Worked there. Guys ran in and people saw 3
guys were murdered, chopped up into pieces, whatever. Yes. And then they were saying that the rumor was that Bigfoot did it.
Yeah, and then he goes on to become a documentary filmmaker.
Yes.
It's David, now I'm forgetting his last name. And he was like an undercover agent, in white supremacist groups for his other documentary or something. So it's a little dramatic.
It is.
He is a little dramatic. It's a little dramatic. But yeah, and then he turns out to be a documentary filmmaker, so then goes, I'm gonna go back to that.
Yeah.
So that alone is pretty interesting.
Yeah. He talks to people out there that have heard the same stories. He talks to, he kind of turns, it's interesting how it ends up he's solving a crime scene in the whole thing of he becomes a detective.
And everyone's involved in weed or something illegal, so no one will, getting people to talk is impossible.
Yes.
Right? And so it's interesting how, enough time's gone by, so it's me. The one person he talked to, he felt like he got contact meth high after the CI talked to. He's like, I can't sleep tonight. And he said, and you can hear, when he's doing the voiceover, and he's like, I couldn't sleep tonight after you could smell it. And I'm like, Jesus.
Well, even when he talked to that one dude that was in the car, and he interviewed him about he witnessed an actual Sasquatch that he thought was a Sasquatch, and how it affected him, and how he was traumatic. It was trauma to him.
Yeah, he's like, my hair.
He started tearing up.
Let's talk about the Sasquatch side for a second.
Yeah.
I want to see a documentary just about all those Sasquatch people.
Right.
The characters were hilarious. Squatchers, I believe they're called.
They're called Squatchers.
But those folks were fantastic.
Yeah, they were interesting.
Some are hesitant. Look, I think he's out there, and I'm looking for him.
Yeah.
Others are. I've seen him 100 times.
Yeah.
I saw him yesterday.
Oh, I know.
I saw him. And the one guy. Oh, dude. So I would watch a documentary right now just about all those Sasquatch people.
Right.
And Sasquatch in general.
Yeah.
That's why I watched it. It's more, I would say it's a third Sasquatch, 2/3 drug cartel murder mystery.
Yeah. And even that part's interesting too. Because
it is. It's just a really weird mix. And then it's named Sasquatch, so that's why we watched.
Oh yeah.
It was a Sasquatch. But it was but anyway, we could I liked how they used the animation too.
Yeah.
How they brought in when somebody's telling a story, they did when there's Bigfoot, the guys going, Bigfoot comes in, and then it shows Bigfoot, it shows the people how they use that animation. Yeah. I like that. Because sometimes I think they lose me in documentaries with animation.
Yeah.
It's just the wrong kind. And this, it's basic, but it's perfect.
And mad credit to the dude that did the documentary. I mean, he did a phenomenal job. And he was even in the documentary too. And he just told the story well. You know what I mean?
You can tell he's a documentary maker.
Oh yeah. Filming, all that. Yeah. That's his thing. Definitely.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
Quick review. What would you give it?
It goes a little too dramatic for me, so I'm giving it a 4 Zabs.
Okay.
Yep.
For me, I liked it a lot, so and I thought it was fantastic quality. I'm gonna have to give it a 5 Zabs, definitely.
I get that.
Definitely.
Awesome. All right, well, on to the next one. Katt Williams, World War III, Netflix comedy special. So, latest installment of Katt Williams.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I love the title. For me, when I heard the title, the name, I was like, oh, this is gonna be the one.
Yeah.
You know, World War III, knowing Katt Williams, what he talks about. You know, he talks about current events, what's going on. I was so ready to hear his opinion on stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, was it disappointing? Maybe a little bit for me. But if you're comparing him to himself, it's so hard because it's like comparing LeBron to his last season that he just had. It's like whole different circumstances.
No,
like,
comparing him to, if you compare him to himself, it makes it very. And I am on my ranking. That's all I've been thinking about.
Yeah,
because if I compare it to the other comedy specials, which we'll have a quick comedy special coming out, they're horrible. Most of them that come out recently are ones and two,
rough.
Just rough, where it's like real rough. In fact, every comedy special I've watched since Katt Williams has made his better.
That's what I'm saying. And I watched it twice, and like there are some underrated jokes in there, like the ox joke where.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean? There's a lot of
there
jokes,
is.
underrated.
I will say it's kind of for me 2 comedy specials. The first half, is funny. The second half is about one thing.
Yeah,
and it got tired for me. Where I'm like, holy.
He lasted
almost
about 30 minutes on that.
It
joke.
made it. It's almost like uncomfortable.
That's his one downfall, though. He's done that in a lot of his specials.
When you said that, you're like, this isn't the first time he's done that. And as I thought about it, I'm like, he does it all the time.
No.
So what's my problem?
Yeah.
So now what's my problem?
Yeah.
You know.
I honestly, it was really funny to me. Like,
I mean, if you're comparing it to which one's my favorite one, the 2016 one.
I think that's Catpocalypse.
Catpocalypse.
That's
but again
top level
and
quality.
Then that one, the 2012 one. Anyway, it's are you?
Oh, I forget what that one was called.
But so good. Like we compare it to these. I mean, these are Catpocalypse. I think it's a top 10 ever.
Yeah.
So I've really been racking my brain on because if I compare it to what's out there, it's a 10.
Yeah.
And we don't even have a 10.
It's really good.
It's if I compare it to himself.
Yeah.
It's this low number, but what am I really trying to say? Look, is it better than streaming, or is it really good, or is it I'm trying to. He's funny. He makes me really think about. I got to come back to what is the ranking,
and he's still speaking facts in this. Like he's still.
Oh, it's funny.
He has some jokes that some people might find funny, some people might not find funny, but he's still himself.
And as we've learned on comedy specials, it's all down to what you think is funny.
Exactly.
There's
not one sense of humor. There's so many types.
And there's certain things that some people just do not find funny. And if somebody does it, I have mine.
Yeah.
You have yours. Yeah. Everyone else has theirs.
Yeah.
And if somebody does that, you just don't like them.
Yeah.
So
and for me, Katt Williams, it's a little biased for me because I'm always gonna say it's really good for.
You've been on Katt Williams since
I was a kid. Oh yeah.
Since you were like 5.
I watched him on Wild 'N Out when I was younger. That's where I first saw him, like 03 or whatever.
Yeah.
That's when he blew up. He was funny on there.
You've come up. That's funny.
Yeah,
you and everyone your age has come up with Katt Williams.
Katt Williams, Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's interesting. Well, with that said, what's your ranking for Katt Williams World War III?
I'm going to have to give it a 4 Zabs. It's really good. High quality. What would you give it?
I'm giving it a 3 Zabs. I want to give it a 4, but it's a 3. It's still better than Searching, and I would watch it, and it's better than almost any other comedy special that's come out in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So, but I give it a 3 Zabs.
For sure. All right, moving on. Hustle, Netflix movie. It's an Adam Sandler main acting role movie.
Everyone says the Adam Sandler movie. But he's just an actor.
I know.
You know?
But that's what they show the whole time on the trailer. It's him.
If you were paying attention to it, he wrote it, directed it, produced it, edited it, did lighting. He was the gaffer. He got coffee.
That's
an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
But he stars in it.
Yeah, he stars in it. He's the main. He's one of the main actors.
Oh, totally. But he's directed by that. The other guy. I'm forgetting his name.
Yeah.
Put it up right now. So Okay. So basketball movie.
Yeah, basketball movie. For me, I liked it a lot more than I wanted to because it was so pushed heavily, I felt like, by people. And on Netflix, they show it to you every time you go on there.
It was getting the industry treatment.
That's what I mainly.
I agree with that.
And
it definitely had me concerned. Same thing. Because I'm like, man, this industry is like, yeah.
It scared me in that aspect. And Adam Sandler playing a serious role. It's hard for me to take that like serious for me personally. So it was.
You haven't seen no Uncut Gems?
No.
And he's serious in that. Wait, he's a good actor.
He is surprisingly.
He's a good actor. Now is he always going to be like a, recovering alcoholic or somebody who DUI'd or always a down and out guy who's like reaching his prime? Let's not do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so he finds the talent.
Hernan Gomez, but they call him Bo or
dude
something.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
He did a great job,
Dude,
I thought,
great
as the main basketball player.
No, and I don't think a lot of people could do that. Honestly, that's a tough role.
No, overall, I will say the basketball folks, most of the big time stars they put them in a situation where they're not really acting, right? But the 3 or 4 who are acting, dude, Kenny Smith,
did
great
really
job. His nemesis, his rival.
Anthony Edwards. That was awesome.
He was awesome.
He did great.
And I think that's a credit to the director of he put everybody in a situation where so it doesn't look like some cheesy commercial, right?
Yeah.
Like every commercial when you see a star do it, you're like, oh god, man, they did him dirty.
Yeah.
Like okay, yeah, he's on the commercial, so we get it. But you can tell.
Yeah,
right.
And it was actually pretty realistic too, because like when you hear a basketball movie that you haven't seen, it's kind of like, is it gonna be corny? Like, are we gonna be able to tell it's not real?
Yes. Reinventing a basketball scene
is hard.
Any sports scene, right? It's hard.
Yeah.
Can you make the crowd look right? Like, can you give it that feel of really the moment that you're trying to create?
Yeah.
And most people, most of the time it's not done right.
I agree.
I thought they did really good on that.
I agree.
Now they also played. The biggest crowd they needed was a playground. That's that's easier than an arena.
Yeah.
At the end they did, but I still think that was, you know what I mean. So.
Yeah.
But I thought
game. Yeah.
The one in Spain.
Yeah.
I thought was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
When he finds him and how that, like, it felt like somebody was just recording it and just happened to be there.
I agree with that.
So I was really, I really like that. The propensity for cheese when you do a down and out basketball story that's made up is very high.
Exactly.
Very high.
Did it have cheesy moments? It did, but it wasn't like the whole time. The majority of it was pretty dope and realistic. Like
if they wouldn't have added the cheese the little bit there the last 20-30 minutes, it would have actually just been a serious movie that was really good. That happened to be about basketball.
It was really dope seeing all the other NBA players. They would sneak in like Tyrese Maxey in there and like little players, but all of them are familiar. Like they were all recognizable players.
Yeah, and so LeBron is a co-executive.
He's
producer.
a co-executive. Yep.
Who says no to that?
Exactly.
So, and then I will say again,
Street Hoopers.
If you're a celebrity, an athlete, and somebody says, "Hey, be in a movie or commercial," right? You're trusting the person that's doing it to not make you look bad.
Yes.
Right. These guys on that side of it, they knocked it out of the park. Like if you're a basketball player, you'd want to be involved because they didn't do you dirty.
Yeah.
LeBron called again. I think more. Everyone's gonna say yes anyway, but there's some good street cred there on treating celebrities and making them look like making them look good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. What would you give your review?
So overall, my because of a little bit of the cheese here and there, and it got kind of the last 20-30 minutes, I'm gonna give it a 4 Zabs.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it was really good, so I'm gonna have to give it a 4 Zabs too. It swayed me.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Not industry.
Even
though it screams industry, it's not.
Yeah.
And that was nice.
Yeah.
That was nice. Okay, on to our next title. It's movie. Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. It's on Paramount. I can't believe we're reviewing it. I thought when we watched it, that was just to waste time.
Yeah. How awesome is that, though?
Okay, so quick premise. Beavis and Butthead win a space camp invite, take the space camp invite, and that gets parlayed into going to space.
Yep.
And then it's just trying to fix that pretty much the rest of the episode, right? They go to space though.
Dude, with that said though, I mean, I love how it was written. Honestly, how it was written was still pretty good. Like how it worked out was
shocked.
It was good. You know, it was funny.
I'm shocked how funny I thought it was.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big, I mean, I grew up with Beavis and Butthead originally. So, obviously, but I kind of left that in the past.
Right.
I haven't watched Beavis and Butthead in 20 years. More. My God. I don't even know. Maybe, long time. I thought it was going to be another one of these, like, reboots. And it was actually really funny.
It was. Even with its old, same little humor that you know is coming, it's still funny.
What they were doing at space camp, I'll laugh about for a really long time. It's so locker room.
Yeah,
it's
guy humor. It definitely is. I watched it twice. I watched it with my girlfriend, and I mean, it was funnier than me the second time, and it was never funny to her in the first time. Yeah. So, you know, it's definitely guy humor.
But it definitely surprised me with how funny it was. Now, I saw, though, the other day that there's going to be a series, and I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Like, a series now coming out in like 3 weeks. And I'm like, oh, now will I watch that every week? I don't know.
Yeah.
But for an hour-and-a-half movie, it was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Way better than I thought it was going to be.
It was a little.
But I also thought it was going to be horrible. I thought it was going to be industry.
Yeah.
Stamp it, right?
I agree.
Check.
Yeah, I went into it just being like, we'll just see if it's good. But it turned out being really good. Watch the whole thing, but it was still a little too long, I would say. Like,
yeah, I agree with that.
Caught myself not really paying attention in the middle of the way because you didn't really need
drift
to.
for a minute.
You drift for a minute, but it's funny. I mean, it's not like it's not bad at all. It's funny.
I think my overall thought on it was just I was surprised. Everybody else is going backwards. You know what I mean? Right now, I mean South Park. A lot of them, they're just let's do the same thing that we've been doing.
Honestly,
Trump. And I thought that's what this was going to be.
Yeah.
I was like, here we go, 2.
Yeah.
And
again, I love how it was written. Like how it worked out was funny.
And it's not like offensive.
No.
It's just really funny.
And then when they meet their former selves, and then like they give them advice, and then they still leave with not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, no, exactly. It is. It's funny. So overall, what would you say your ranking for Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe?
I'm gonna have to give it a 4 Zabs. It's really good, high quality. What would you give it?
4 Zabs. I can't believe it. It's 4 Zabs. So there you go.
Word. All right, last on our list, our throwback, Hoosiers. It's on Hulu. And brief summary, it's another basketball movie. Throwback, I've never heard of this.
1986.
1986. And actually not cheesy. I mean, it was actually pretty realistic. I mean, a coach comes in and he takes on a basketball team at a high school and makes them really good.
Yeah.
It's like
that's the best way to sum it up.
Honestly.
Yep.
But it wasn't cheesy to me. Like, I actually enjoyed it. And it felt like what a real coach would do to get players better. They weren't the best players. You could tell, like, they got that across. I mean, the drills he had them doing would make people better.
Yeah.
How the games progressed and how he influenced his players during the game and told them play team ball, whatever the case. Like, that was all realistic to me. I really love that.
That's awesome. 35 years ago this was made.
I know. That's crazy.
So when I thought of that the other day, I was like, well, it just got better.
Right.
You know?
It's high quality.
It does prove my point, though, that it's based in the 50s. So it doesn't matter if it was made in the 80s or now. It should look like the 50s.
Right.
In the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Indiana. Like small town of 100 people, 1,000 people, like those tiny towns. I like that it was a huge movie when I was a kid. People quoted it, Hoosiers, that means you're the underdog.
Yeah.
Right? Hoosiers, you're the underdog.
I didn't know
that. So if somebody says Hoosier, and it's more people my age, but
yeah,
I would have been 11 or 12 when that came out.
That's crazy.
And then, so obviously, the main guy, Jimmy Chitwood, all that. Like, so watching it again, because you worry, Because, man, you're 12, you romanticize movies, right? You're 12.
I was
the best
super worried going into it. Yeah, it's old. It's an older movie, and it's about basketball. Like,
you were worried. When
I was real worried.
When I said that's what we should watch. You were 1986. Basketball movie.
But great quality for an 80s movie. Great quality.
And it stars Gene Hackman, who he used to be like Lex Luthor in Superman.
Oh, really?
He was the big guy.
Okay.
The main actor, he was in everything.
Oh, yeah?
For a while, yes. And then the drunk dad.
Yep.
He was super famous.
Mm-hmm.
He was in a ton of stuff. Sissy Spacek, I think, was the lady. She was in everything. So they were the big stars at the time.
That's where I seen the star player too. Not the one that was quiet. The other star player that was the shooter.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I've seen him as an older version of himself somewhere.
I feel like two of the basketball players I've seen now.
Yeah.
As older.
Like the kid that does the grandma shot, I've seen him somewhere.
Like they're the dumb dad now in every show. Just
Exactly.
So. And then I will say, it's gritty.
Yeah.
It reminded me that, like, they just don't make, it's rare to get a gritty movie nowadays. Like they advertise it as gritty.
Yeah.
35 years ago, every movie was kind of gritty.
Yeah.
There was just, everything was kind of, and
quality
it's in there.
they had at the time.
And the alcoholism and how they portrayed that, now you consider it a drama if you put something out like that. And back then it was considered a sports inspirational movie. But it's real. I thought a lot of the things were real. I was surprised watching it. I was worried that I'd maybe thought it was way better.
You know how they always have those whole the best kissing moments in movies or whatever, like those awards, or like the most romantic scene in the movie. Their romantic scene and their chemistry with the main coach, and when he kisses that girl at the end, it was so awkward to me. Like he was like grabbing her shoulder, and like kissing like her top lip. It was like
it's 86. You weren't allowed to kiss normal.
I know. I'm like, when people die, how do you do it?
Cars. That's funny. I will say though, you think of what Hustle's basketball scenes looked like, and then you compare that to Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Like you knew that the gym wasn't full, but then they would show you an angle in Hoosiers, and you're like, well, wait, maybe the gym is full.
Yeah. No.
So even that part, Hustle did it so well, and that's the new standard. Yeah. It's interesting. At the time, Hoosiers was the standard of making it look realistic. Yeah. Like again, when you're screwing with a sport, and you want to make it seem like it was hard for him to make that shot. Yeah. Well, I don't want it to look like a Disney movie, where all they do is show the kid by himself and then the hoop and it just switches. Yeah. And you can tell it came from like a different direction. You're like, he was on that side and that went. I couldn't have.
It's half the time they don't even have good form when they shoot it.
No, and then the person's falling, when they're trying to block them. So overall, though, I thought it was as good as I remembered it. Yeah. And again, I was surprised at that because I thought I was kind of being really, really gracious on just the time in my life is why I thought that way. Yeah. So
is that considered a kids movie too? Would you say?
I think it's just. What's interesting is in '86 probably. Right. That's a kid's. Yeah. Hey, watch it. Exactly. Like it. Exactly. Be a Hoosier.
Because that's a pretty good movie, but it is a kids movie nowadays. Obviously, there's no cussing or anything or crazy.
Well, yeah,
except for the drinking.
No, but there isn't a lot of actual cussing. There's not really any inappropriate situations. They're not talking about weird stuff. So it is probably overall though. I think it's just it's an inspirational story. And what's funny to me is there's been 30 Hoosiers since then, and they're all trying to meet Hoosiers. Yeah. Hoosiers is the standard. But as we found, when you watch some of these old ones, the standard doesn't always hold up. Yeah. Right? It's like, yeah. So okay. 35-year-old movie. Dude. It stood you're a 24-year-old guy. What is your ranking on Hoosiers?
It stood the test of time for me. I really liked it. Not quite a 5 for me, but it's a 4 Zabs. Really high quality. Loved it a lot. I'd recommend it to tons of people my age, whoever. Really, really good basketball movie.
Nice.
What would you give it?
I'm giving it a 4 Zabs also. It's not quite there on the 5, but it's strong for if you're looking for something for you and the family to watch. Talk them into watching it.
Oh, heck yeah.
They'll be surprised, I think.
Heck yeah.
So,
definitely.
Nice. All right, on to our underrated category for this episode. Today's documentaries. What's an underrated documentary for you?
Underrated documentary for me is Roll Red Roll. Brief description, I don't want to give too much, but it's about a high school party, and allegedly crime happens, people are keeping secrets, social media takes over and like allows it to keep happening, crazy stuff. But it's a really well told story. Great documentary, very underrated for me. What would you give an underrated doc for you?
Underrated for me is, I'll go with today, is Val. It's about Val Kilmer. It's on Prime. Famous actor, right? He's in everything. He was Doc Holliday in Tombstone. He was Iceman and Top Gun and everything in between. He was a Batman once. So grew up with him pretty much his career.
That's dope.
But it's got a ton of home video footage that they use to tell the story.
Oh, like
so it's so unique, and then it's so just raw and unfiltered because you see it through this progress and progression, and then a heartbreaking story is inside of that too. So very good. Val.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Let's move on to our all-time 5 documentary. What would you give an all-time 5 for you?
All-time 5 for me today, I'm gonna go with Cocaine Cowboys. But not just the first one. Remember, there's the second one, then there's a Reloaded, and then there's one from last year about the two brothers who raced the speedboats. So there's actually 4. Remember that. They're on all different streaming services. They're all still Billy Corben though. And they're all still really good. So
Okay.
all 4 are Cocaine Cowboys.
Nice. That's a good pick.
What about you?
All-time doc for me, I'm gonna have to say, is The Trials and Tribulations of Gabriel Fernandez, and it's a really good documentary. Phenomenal, actually. Love Gabriel. You can tell he's a good kid. It sucks what he had to go through, but overall, great documentary, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, so that's why it's probably all-time for me. So,
yeah. Should be required watching.
Definitely.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of 5 Zabs. Make sure to subscribe, share with anybody else looking for something to watch.
Yeah, and good luck searching.
Tupatu.